And Andy Cohen, great guy, rookie of the year last year. He's on track for Italy. Wrote 172,000 in production last year. Has a lot of great things happening. Andy, please go ahead and tell us what you're doing, buddy.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Dave. Nice introduction. I appreciate that. So, first off, Mickey's been telling me for years and years to get into this business, and I kept on blowing him off and saying thanks, but no thanks. I'll consider it. Well, I wish now that I got into it years ago. So, thanks for selling me, Mickey, to get into the business. It took me a while, but I'm glad I did. Last year was definitely a good year. I've actually been at it for about a year and a half now. A year and 8 or 9 months now. So, the first year, I guess I did sort of come out of the gate, which was nice. I was pretty hungry, and, I focused on activity. So, trying to rack my brain, figuring out what to say today. I mean, there's a lot of, senior guys that have been doing this that are experienced on the call. So, I got some great pointers from Mark last week. So trying to, talk about, almost reflect on my year last year and what made me Rookie of the Year. I mean, I attribute it to two things mainly, attitude and activity. So, I hadn't done consumer sales. I've had a lot of sales experience, but I hadn't done consumer sales in quite a long time, beating the street like that, knocking on doors. And I do all door knocking. I made, just a handful of phone calls over the phone. I haven't taken one live transfer. I do some follow-up calls. But, my business has been built just by door knocking and getting out there, and I hadn't done that in a long time. So, the most important thing that I needed to remember going in, regardless of the result of the door knock, whether you get your door slammed in your face or you get in and have a great conversation, or, those times that are tough when you warm them up for a long time and sitting there for an hour or 45 minutes, and then, they tell you they'll call their son, they'll run it by him, and they don't call you back, or they don't ignore you next time you go in. So there's a lot of situations that we're going to come across door knocking. I think the most important thing is really having a good attitude. I've been saying for a long time, and this applies in our business, any level of sales, you want to see people, but you don't want to waste the visit. So you want to see them as an acronym. S means you want to smile. E is you make good eye contact, and the other E is you want to be enthusiastic. So you want to see as many people as possible with a good attitude, and it doesn't matter the result. A no is a no, and you move on. And, those no's are good because every no is one no closer to a yes. So, if I have a good attitude that day and I get the door slammed in my face, or I, waste some time in a house, whatever the result is, if it's a no, it's a thank you for the no. Let me move on to find a yes. I think that's the most important thing, because when I do that, I focus on the attitude, staying positive, and I also focus on the activity. I am eager to get into another house, go knock another door. I go out every day. There's no days that I sit home. One of the challenges for me in the beginning was time management, how I'm going to work in some of the admin stuff, the underwriting requirements, some of the paperwork, while I focus on new business. And, it's still a work in progress. It always is. But I make sure that I get out around the same time every morning, and I go late. And, even if I, have things weighing on my mind, some anxiety over paperwork I didn't finish, I focus on new sales calls. I just try to get new leads every day and get out there and touch new houses every day. So I make a stack of leads every single day. I do it in the evening, at night. No, my new wife Greta will tell you I sit here till 9, sometimes 10 o'clock, sometimes later, making sure the last thing I do is plan my route for the day. So when I sit at my desk at 8:15, 8:30 every day, I'm knocking out the admin stuff so I can hurry up and get out with a plan. So I think that's important, to focus on new sales every day and planning your route the day before so you know where you're going to go. I mean, every day I leave the house and I have, somewhere between 15 and 25 stops in mind, sometimes more. And if I have 25 stops in mind, I have a semi-successful day. I'm not going to make all 25 stops because I'm going to run out of time in the day. But I always have a stack ready to go with a plan that I made the night before. So, when I first got going, I didn't know whether I was going to get, 1 out of 20, 1 out of 10, 5 out of 10. I had no idea how successful I was going to be doing this. So, getting in front of new people as you kind of learn the numbers was definitely important to me. So, again, my priority was always to, touch new doors and work on new calls and just keep the activity level high with a good attitude. Let's see if there's anything else specifically. I think time management for the new guys is important to discuss. For me, it took me a long time to try to figure out how to go about this, how to manage my schedule, when I should be out in the field, when I should be, how I should sort of prioritize, when I have a deal in the works and, Transamerica comes back and they need 12 more things and, this process now takes, 3 weeks and I got to go back and forth. There's some challenges there, and, everyone has similar challenges. The lay of the land here in Florida is a little bit challenging also because once I go north, it's hard to circle back and go south. So, for me, I buy leads by zip code, and, I end up going into a geographic region, and when I'm there. There's not much around me. I spread myself thin by working leads north and leads south from the beginning. So, no matter your system that you're working in, you need to have a time management system that works for you, but at the same time prioritize new calls. I think that's really kind of the basis I have for some of the new people. There's a lot that I can cover, but I felt that from what I got from Mark last week and Charlie the week before and some of the more experienced guys that are giving great pointers, I wanted to kind of focus on some of the challenges I had and what I faced my first year and some of the lessons I took that I use every day.
Andy?
Yes.
Dave here. So I got a question here from somebody because I know you are a big lead guy and you work different types of leads, and I know you have some really awesome good news to share on the SEO leads on the number of on the amount of premiums that you're selling. However, one of the guys is texting in and this is from a veteran. This is from a guy who's been doing this for quite some time, and he would like to know when you approach the door, what are you saying at the door with the lead card?
So I'm showing the lead card. I'm asking, for that person with a big smile on my face. Even if I just got, my butt kicked on 5 calls or 10 calls in a row or whatever just happened, I put a smile on my face when I walk up to that door because that's the positive energy that they're going to feed off of. So, when I walk up to the door, I ask for the person and I tell them, I'm so sorry to bother you. My name is Andy, and I show that card. I hold that card. You requested this information for the state supplemental benefit program. You filled that out recently. They sent me by to deliver the information for you and determine if you qualify. May I come in for just a moment? That's what I say every time. Now, that's evolved a little bit, but a version of that in the beginning. And you'll get, what's this about? What's this in regards to? Tell me more about it. No problem at all. A lot of times, because we're here in Florida, there's a couple seats on the patio right outside. There's plenty of, I don't have the challenge of seasons, although I do have some hot weather down here in the summer. So, a lot of times I end up just sitting outside or standing in the doorway or, taking a seat on the stump right out front and starting the conversation there. But again, I tell them I've been assigned to determine if they qualify and provide the information. May I come in?
Question from the same guy. Are you jumping right in when you get into a controlled environment? Whether it's in the home or sitting outside at the porch table, are you going right into the sale or are you doing a warm up? Do you have a little warm up that you use while you're sitting with the client, or do you jump right in?
No, absolutely not. I take my sweet old time. And it's a source of frustration, too, because when you take your sweet old time like that and then you get a no, it's easy to start thinking, oh, man, I just wasted an hour. You can't do that. You got to stay positive. It's good. And, whether it takes a long time to get the no or whether it's 5 visits and, they stand you up 7 times, or you deal with some back and forth, or you stop through 12 more times. A no's a no. Move on. It doesn't matter. You just one no. You're closer to the yeses. You'll get them. It's a culmination of all the activity. Some are yeses, some are no's. It doesn't matter. You just need the activity. Now, when you get better at some of the scrambling at the door and, using your words and your rebuttals properly, and then you'll get better and you get a higher closing rate. Yes, but, I find that a lot of time is wasted, and it shouldn't deter you. So to answer that question, I do take my time. When I get in, I look for pictures on the wall. Oh, wow, those are your kids or those your grandkids? Good-looking family. I'll find something to compliment as soon as I walk in. It's usually, oh, wow, I love these floors. I'd say, oh, my gosh, my wife would love these floors too. These are beautiful. How long have you been here? Where are you from? And that's generally how I start.
Sure. So a little warm-up, find something that in the home that you like, and a little common ground, get the people loosened up a little bit.
Yes, exactly.
You don't jump right into insurance right away.
Exactly. So what I'll do is, I'll warm up for a long time and ask them a lot of questions and just get them to feel comfortable. And sometimes you have to power through the fact that they're saying, hey, get on with this. What's this about? And I'll often have to say, I'm so sorry. I just, really like to get to know you a little bit. Just have another question, and what brought you down to Florida? And when the most commonly used word in the English language is the word I. People like to talk about themselves more than anything. So whether you have somebody that's a little bit rigid right up front or not, when you ask the right questions, they will come around and they will generally like to talk about themselves. They don't want to be sold anything, but they do want to be heard. So if you ask the right questions right up front, and you do it with a smile on your face, and you do it casually, and you kick back and relax, you're going to get a lot of people that are going to warm up to you. And I find that's really the ticket to doing this. My wife and I, Greta, we went out on a call on Saturday. She met somebody and brought me on the call as her first client. Actually, she's licensed as well. And we sat there for 45 minutes and talked. And we were sitting outside in the heat, under a shade, of course, but we were still in the heat. And she said, "Man, you talk a lot. That was a lot of warm up." Well, we got the deal. We got the deal at $59 a month, and that's all that really matters. So if I could have probably cut 5 or 10 minutes out of it, but now I feel like I have a client for life. At the end, we were able to ask for referrals. I feel pretty darn confident if she wants another policy in 5 years, she's remembering us. She's going to continue to come to us. She's going to get her family to us, and she's going to get her referrals to us. So, it's worth the extra 5 or 10 minutes, even if you're drawing out the problem.
Absolutely. You paid a lot of money for the lead. You caught somebody home. Somebody has agreed to talk to you. You spent the gas, the time, and so why not spend the time with that client? And really, even if you don't make the sale, you want to leave the door open for the next time. So if you burn a bridge, you're done for the next time. You've only made it easier for the next person. So that's good. I have another question here. Sure. And I just want to keep you on track and put you on the spot a little bit, actually, on this one. What is when someone says, Andy, you seem like a great guy, blah, 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 I want to think about it. How are you overcoming that? What are you saying in the house?
Well, a lot of that starts with the warm-up, really. And that's a tough one. And I hear it all the time, right? And you can't overcome it every time. So, you close the door properly. You make sure that you keep that relationship open, and you set a follow-up so they know it's in the pipeline. You're not going away if it turns out you can't turn them. But it starts with the warm-up, right? So, if I find out that they have, 6 kids and 12 grandchildren at that time, and they worked and they've been retired for 15 years, and, they don't make a lot of money, they haven't made any arrangements for their funeral, they don't want to stick it on their kids and their grandkids and burden them when they go, then what is there really to think about, right? So this is a great opportunity for them to do it. I make sure they know that they don't pay me any money. It doesn't work that way. I do the application to confirm and make sure that they qualify for it to start next month. No problem. You can start it next month, absolutely. When does your Social Security benefit come in? It generally gets billed in conjunction with the benefit coming in right through the bank. Who would you want to make your beneficiary? And I just try to power right through that and make it obvious there's nothing to think about. Doesn't always work. It doesn't always work. But I tell them I completely understand. Absolutely. But you mentioned you have 12 grandchildren, and I know you don't want to leave the burden on them. I'm here. This great opportunity. What is there really to think about? Am I missing something? Because it seems to me like there's a no-brainer. Let's make sure you qualify. And that's how.
Yeah, I like it. No, I like it. I mean, you're right. The warm up is helping you close. You're closing when you're warming up. And I tell people that. And again, I'm not in the field now, but I know that when you are warming someone up, you're selling yourself, and then you're gradually and subliminally selling the product to them. You're creating the need as they tell you more about themselves. They're telling you more why they need the policy. I got another question from the same guy, from the same person. Okay. Are you using and this is always a tricky one, because I know that you want to obviously the bigger sale, the more we make. However, you've heard me say it, Andy. Be kind to the client. So, are you asking for a certain premium up front, or are you giving someone an opportunity for a choice close? Like, you're giving them several amounts of life insurance to purchase, and saying which one's best for you, or are you coming in there, this is what you have in mind, this is what I think you need, and are you trying to close on that?
I always give options, always. I don't think I've ever given one option, never. So what I do every single time, and I have to be disciplined sometimes to be able to do this, because sometimes it takes time to do this, where I've warmed them up, I've gone through the presentation, now I'm at the point where I'm writing quotes. I have a sheet that says it has option 1 through 6. I always give at least 3, because most people naturally are going to pick the one in the middle, right? So, and I start high, and I don't hesitate to start high, and I'll tell them, listen, I'm going to show you a $30,000 option here. I know you want to have that to help your family. I'm going to show you 3 options or 4 options or 6 options. So, don't be deterred. When you see the first number, I'm going to show you a range of options. And remember, they're always going to be the exact same. So whatever I show you will never change. So I'll show them 6 options or 3 options or 4 options, and at the end say, which one of these options is most comfortable in your budget and fits your needs? And I wait for a response. And Perfect. I shut up, and I don't say a word until they say something every time.
Close and stay closed, right?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Close and stay closed. Don't keep talking. That means you're buying it back. Let them make the decision, and then you'll have an opportunity to rebuttal that.
Exactly. My wife will tell you I talk enough. But I do want to also say, on that note, when I don't really sell a premium, when I ask them that choice close, if they're on the fence, either this one or this one, I'm not sure, I will tell them, listen, why don't you go with the lower one? Go with what you're comfortable with. Anything is better than nothing. Am I right? And they say, yeah, that's true. And then a lot of times when I start to do it, I say, okay, you wanted the 10,000, right? They'll say, oh, you know what, make it 15. So Absolutely. I can try to convince them to go with a lower number. I don't want this thing lapsing. I don't want to have to go back to the house and call them and chase them for $48, for a premium. It's such a pain when I'm focused on new business, and it happens all the time. So I'd much rather have something that they're comfortable with, and it also makes it easier if I have a good relationship with them to go back in a year and upsell them another policy.
Absolutely.
So
and when you ask a question and you get a yes answer like you just did, it's better to have something, but something's better than nothing. Isn't that true? And they say yes. Right there is probably where you jump in and say, great. Who would you like as your beneficiary, right? Then you would go into the application.
Exactly, okay. Or exactly right. And depending on the application, it may be, okay, let me take some basic information from you. Let's talk about your health.
Just something to get, whether it's a paper app or a little ink on the paper, or you're starting to hit the buttons on your iPad, correct?
Exactly. I feel like it's pretty close at that point. Now I'm taking the app.
Okay. Here's a question. New guy asking this question. Here's a tricky one because we get it all the time. We work a different type of lead. We're trying different leads with different lead vendors in all the different states, and so we're trying to generate more people to see. So this one comes from one of the new guys, and you met him at the Christmas party. What does Andy say when people say, "Oh, I thought this was free"?
Man, so I get, the majority of my leads, especially the first year. Now I've had some success. Dave, I know you asked me on those digital leads. You guys call them SEO leads, but we refer to them as the digital leads down here, and I've had a lot of success with them too. So it changes things a little bit. But the lead cards that I worked with, especially for the first year, all say this is a free service or something to that effect. Mm-hmm. So I chuckle. I know I hear that a lot. My service is free. There is a premium involved, but it's extremely fair. Here, I'll show you what it is. Maybe we sit down.
Perfect.
I'll just
right there.
Right today. I dip that in the bud. I make a joke. I make light of it, and just try to power right through it. Let me get in the house.
My time is free.
Mm-hmm. My service is free. I'm sorry for the confusion. I hear that a lot. Let me clarify. May I come in for just a moment? And I'll just try to get in the house. And a lot of times we go, well, if it's not free, and I go, well, that's okay, no problem at all. It's not a waste of time. Let me at least explain what it is while I'm here. May I come in? It's only a few moments.
Sure. Let's see if you qualify.
Exactly. And once I'm in the house, it doesn't really matter. They know they need this. If they have the money for it, free or not, if they have $0 and they're, on a tight budget, they're probably considering cremation anyway, which means I can get away with giving them a low quote for a $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 policy. Sure. So I'll show them options of 12, 8, and 6. Yeah. And they're generally a lot lower depending on their age and health.
Yeah, depending upon their age, Mr. Jones, here's what we can do for $1 a day, $2 a day, something like that. So, you get in the house, and then the big thing, and I was talking to Mark Pimento just the other day, when someone says, "Oh, I thought it was free," we said, "Mr. Jones, you might not even qualify for it anyway." So then they're like, "Whoa, what do you mean?" So you just want to open up their mind, get them in a different direction. Okay, people that mail these cards in, for the most part, they know it's not free. But you do get that at the door. But when you ask them a question to just explode in their eyes, you probably don't. Maybe you don't qualify anyway. Let's at least see if you would qualify. May I step in? Boom. Hey, Andy, I got another one for you. Okay.
Sure.
And this is from a guy that you work closely with. I want you to share, because you don't work just mail leads. You work SEO leads, and this is going to be a big part of our growth going forward in recruiting new agents, and also just expanding the number of people and your sales. Tell the gang what are some of your sales with a $10 SEO leads. Give us some of not the face amounts, but the premiums, the monthly premiums that you've made on some of these sales.
Oh man, they're good. So, what I'm finding is that, maybe fewer people are home during the day. Maybe you get 30% or that are no good, and, the address is bad, or they don't live there anymore, or they just use that address. If you're getting, knocking the door, you're having a conversation. Generally speaking, right? If you knock it a couple times, you're probably going to find somebody that tells you when they're working, tells you when they're going to be home, or gives you that basic information. So for $10, I'll pay all day for a conversation about life insurance for somebody that was interested. So, those are great just to have the conversation. But, if you don't get quite as many, or if the contact info is not as good, it doesn't really matter, because you're going to offset that loss from larger premiums, because these people are generally speaking, a little more savvy, maybe a little more sophisticated. They were on the internet, filling out information, which means they have a computer. They know how to navigate that, generally speaking. So, you're going to find that there might be higher premiums for those $10 leads. Some people are looking for, larger policies, and they'll put it on that form. So, I'm writing larger policies from them for sure. I had a day where it was a combination of a $10 lead and one of the YIG leads that cost me, I think, $14 with the beneficiary. And I had I think it was a $16,000 day, 2 homes. So, yeah, that was nice. I mean, I spent $24 that day on 2 digital leads, and, I walked away with a record day for me, hopefully one that'll stand the test of time, or I beat. But, that was a really nice day. I mean, the first guy had a $400 a month premium, and I went into the second house and wrote up policies for the kids, wrote up a Royal Neighbors Jet Whole Life with a 20 pay, and gave the mother a final expense policy. And I'm still actually working with the husband to try to find him a term plan. I got to get back and see him. But, yeah, so, my gut feeling, and I've seen this, I don't have the numbers to measure this and to show you this evidence, but the premiums are generally a little bit higher from the cheaper leads. And there are some challenges, but, somewhat irrelevant when in the big picture. I went just last week and wrote a $124 a month premium for a gentleman. It was a $10 lead. The guy wasn't there. His brother answered the door, told me he had insurance already. Ended up, finding out it was a Forrester's Smart Universal Life policy that had 6 or 8 years till it was done. And, he would have had to put in more premium to keep it going. So I switched it out and it was $124 a month, and I still have to catch up with that lead. So now his brother's trying to help me get in touch with him and his other brother. So, I mean, great things can happen from conversations, and even better when it only costs $10.
Absolutely. So you like if you were to tell someone, whether we're a new agent or a seasoned veteran agent, purchase the SEO leads, get you in front of more people, you like them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely. I would say that I think I did 172,000 in production my first year. I believe that's the number you said.
Yep.
So I did that with only direct mail leads. And down here in Florida, I'm in one of those challenging markets. They cost me $45 a lead. And, Dave and Mike will tell you we had some issues coming out of the pandemic when I was getting going with, supply and just the lead flow challenges. There was some problems there for sure. I powered through it, and I ended up doing good production my first year. Well, I spent a lot of money on leads, so I'm so excited what this year is going to be with me buying, $10 leads and doing, good sales off them and had higher premiums. So, yeah,
Sure.
No, I would tell anybody, get in the door. That's all you need is the conversation. You just need somewhere to go and do it with $10 leads. The other thing I'll mention before I take another question is that I've done a lot of, I don't do what Charlie said or Mark said last week, and I don't really knock the neighboring doors. I've done it on occasion if I'm in a building and I see a couple doors, but I'm so gung-ho about getting to my next stop if they're not home that I generally don't spend time door knocking in buildings. But I always talk to people I see on the street. So I see the neighbors outside. I see, people across the street. I see somebody getting out of the car in the complex. I use those final expense checks, and I just spark a conversation with them. And, I've gotten plenty of deals from them for the time that it's taken to pitch them or talk to them. Sometimes it's 20 seconds and done. Sometimes you get engaged in a conversation for a minute or two. It's always worth the time. So I think prospecting through those other tools is also important to mention.
Do you have a referral pitch? You're in the home. Do you ask for referrals here? I'll take this question another. So one of the agents wants to know, what do you say? Because I'm a big referral guy. I mean, I've always done it. I always did it. I always ask, do we do it? Do you do it? So are you asking for referrals? And how do you have a one-liner that you pitch? And do you ask for referrals on a sale and a non-sale?
So for the first year, I didn't, because I was so happy to get a sale, right? I was eager to get out of the house to make sure it wasn't lost. I didn't do it. So I dropped the ball on that for an entire year. Then I started doing it, a few months ago after the first year, towards the end of the first year. I would do it on occasion, and I would say, I've been doing this a long time, and I always forget to ask. So I have to make sure I ask you, who do you know that could benefit from having a conversation with me about life insurance in general? And I took something from, I don't know if it was Mark or Charlie in the last couple of weeks, whoever told me that it mentioned it's not about who needs life insurance, it's about their loved ones. That is important. So now I'm working that in where, hey, it's not anybody that needs insurance specifically that you know of. It's your loved ones that I should have conversations with, whether they have needs or not. Who do you know? And it works sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't. But it takes 30 seconds. So do it every time. I've learned that lesson. I left a lot on the table, not getting those referrals. And, recently I've had people, I've finally have a book of business enough where I've gone back in and they say, oh, you know what? Did my sister call you? Let me give you her number. Where I didn't even ask for referrals, and they think about, who I can help. So definitely ask every time. I'm also getting testimonials, which has helped me. We have an agency here, and, I've asked for testimonials. We have a YouTube page. We put them on the website. I have about 30 or 35 Google reviews. So I spent the first, a lot of times in the beginning asking for testimonials and not referrals. Now I'm doing both. We also.
I know that Greta is helping you with that, right? That's something that you. So you and Greta have. So tell. Listen, this is. I don't want to take up a lot more time, but I do want to know a little more about this. Maybe some people could pick up an idea from this. Kind of elaborate on what you mean by you're picking up testimonials.
So we have a website. We have an agency. It's called Pivotal Life Insurance, and we're trying to build this into something big. We have a great brand, a great name, and unfortunately, in the beginning, it's sort of irrelevant, right? Because you go in, it's your face that matters, it's your smile. They don't care about the company when they're filling out a lead card. Until you get into the nitty-gritty, or you're showing them a company that they may be insured by, it's irrelevant. But in the bigger grand scheme of things, it definitely helps to have a brand. So what I've done is I've, asked people for, if I write them a policy in the beginning, I say, hey, would you mind writing me a review? I would text them a link to write a Google review. Give me 5 stars, write whatever you like. I still do that, and I have about 35 or so Google reviews out there, and I feature them on my website. They're at the bottom where it's testing what our clients have to say. I'd invite anybody to look at the website, insuranceispivotal.com, and see how we've used that. It's a constant work in progress. Greta handles all that. She does a great job. So, I've done that a bunch, and I've asked for those testimonials. And Greta, my wife, pointed out to me that, a lot of this business is done on the Internet through Facebook and other groups and other, social media sites out there. So I should do videos. So we feature those testimonials on our homepage of the website, but we also showcase videos also. So, I'll put videos on the homepage of the website. We have a library of, 10, 20, 30 videos, probably more now. And every Tuesday on social media, we post our Testimonial Tuesday video.
Oh, stop, Andy. So these are actual videos that you and Greta have put together of your client.
Yep. So the first one I did was I had a lady and Greta was telling me, get a video. You'll see what we can do with it. I said, fine, I'll do it. So the first one, I said, do you mind if I record you just saying something nice about the experience? She said, oh, man, my hair is not done. I said, okay, it's okay. I'll just record myself saying something and just bring you on to give me the thumbs up. Fair enough? And she said, okay, fine. So I did, and I said, this is Elaine or whoever it is. Elaine had 6 Colonial Penn policies She had a loan against the cash value. She only had about $18,000 in coverage. For the same premium, we got her $25,000 in coverage, and she's getting $800 in cash value back. Elaine, it was a great experience. She wanted to give me the approval or a thumbs up, something like that. I then brought her into the camera, and she said, "Oh, Andy was great to work with," blah, blah, blah. So,
Andy, this is I got to tell you, this honestly, I get goosebumps. This is amazing stuff. I have not heard this. I'm sure it's being done. I'm old school, but I have to tell you that, and I met Greta, and Greta is awesome. So you've got and I've met Greta a couple times at Christmas party and then Grand Canyon. So you've got an awesome wife. You've got, and obviously she's she has a degree. She has a marketing degree, et cetera. She's employed. She's awesome. But to help you, and then obviously went out and got licensed. So you told me about that. But to put these testimonials and to create your brand, like you said, and to be able to, do you show those testimonials in the home?
Yeah. So Dave, we have them now showcased online. We have a library of 20 or 30 of them, and every week, it's funny, every time I put a deal, Greta now follows the group meet chat that we have, the sales board, and she texts me, make sure you get a testimonial or make sure you get a video. So it's nice to have that in her in my ear, and and supporting me in this. But when I do that, I try to get those videos, and I use them, obviously, as I mentioned, on social media. We're building this library. It's going to be very, very helpful in the future. But also, I have used it to get in the door now many times over the last couple of months, where somebody said, "Oh, no, I'm good. I have insurance. I'm good." And I'll tell them, "No problem. Listen, as part of this service, I make sure that what you have is ironclad. You'd be surprised. About 7 out of 10 homes I go into don't have the right coverage, exactly what they thought. Here, let me show you an example." And I'll actually pull out my phone, and I have a video folder, and I'll show them a couple quick videos. So if they said, "Oh, no, I have New York Life, AARP," I have a couple videos that say, "I had the New York Life AARP. Turns out it's a term policy that goes up every 5 years." So I have videos. So I'll show them very quickly. Just watch this for 1 quick second, and they'll watch a 30-second video, and they'll say, "Oh," and they'll start thinking. And I've gotten a lot of homes recently that way by showing them the video and making them feel more comfortable. I've got some areas where there's a lot of Haitians and Jamaicans, and, I'll be working through those areas, and I'll pull up a video with somebody with a Jamaican accent, and they'll say, recently, a week or so ago, somebody said, "Oh, you work with a lot of Jamaicans." I said, "Yeah, absolutely. May I come in?"
Wow.
And I got it.
Well, I got to tell you, Mick, that's all. I'm not going to hold you up much longer. We have some other things that we want to cover, but some of these things from a new guy who has only been in the field for 2 years or less, who is going to be very successful and now has brought his spouse, Greta, into the business, and I know she's doing her thing. Pretty amazing stuff, Andy. This is something that I hope that some of us are able to take this information and use it and elaborate on it. Maybe this is something we can do as an agency and just get a bunch of videos from other agents and incorporate it certainly outside of your brand. We wouldn't want to interfere with that. But Andy, I want to thank you. Listen, I get, again, these trips for everybody, the get-togethers, the functions that we have, and we're going to have a huge gathering over the holidays. I've gotten to know Andy face to face. I met him briefly in Baltimore when we brought Andy on with Mick, and then the last year's Christmas party, this year's trip to Grand Cayman. He's an awesome guy with an awesome lady behind him, and actually now probably running side by side, and Greta. Yep. So this is pretty awesome, Andy. I thank you for your time. All good stuff.